If you find yourself in the wilderness, it is time for you to prepare the way for the Lord. A lot of the times we want God to do things for us and we want Him to do things on our behalf, but we are not preparing the way for the Lord. We are not being obedient, and we are not taking heed to His instruction. There is a reason why God tells us to do the things that He tells us to do. And that is not for us to know, that is just for us to obey. We can speculate, we can instigate, we can speculate, we can wonder. But that is not for us to know, it is just for us to obey. So in order to prepare the way for the Lord, we have to be obedient to whatever it is that He is calling us to do and what He is telling us to do. And this is a day-by-day thing. We may get instructions day by day. We may get instructions month to month. It depends on the person. You can get instructions for years at a time, and God just wants you to do the last thing that He told you to do prior. But we have to prepare. In order to prepare the way for the Lord, we have to be obedient to whatever it is that He's calling us to do. He might want you have to be obedient to the subtractions that He wants you to do in your life. You got to be obedient to the additions that He wants you to add to your life, the multiplications, the divisions, whatever it is. You have to be obedient to whatever it is that God is calling you to do to prepare the way for Him, to prepare a way for Him to move on your behalf. God cannot move in disobedience. He cannot move in disobedience. From the least to the small, from the least to the greatest, you have to be obedient in whatever it is that God is calling you to do. So you can, that is you preparing the way for Him to move on your behalf in your life. And if you find yourself in a wilderness, you have to prepare the way for Him. And preparing this way is being obedient, right? And in the wilderness is going to be a strict program that's being ran, right? So in Matthew 3, John the Baptist was crying out in the wilderness, telling them to prepare the way for the Lord and to make His path straight. So when we're preparing that way for the Lord, we're being obedient to whatever it is that He's calling us to do, and that straight path. We're on that straight path, we're on that narrow path, we're on that constant path, we're on that steadfast path. When you think of straight, you think of narrow. When you think of straight, you think of the opposite of straight, which is broad. On a broad path, you could zigzag all throughout there. You could do all twists and turns and all types of things. But when you think of a straight and narrow path, you are constant, you're steady. Is one foot in front of the other. And that is our posture in the wilderness. Is constant, is steady. That's our posture today and forevermore. But if you find yourself in the wilderness, you have to be constant, you have to be steady, and you have to be firm. And you preparing that way for the Lord and making His path straight, that is going to allow Him to move in your life on your behalf, right? But it's going to be a strict program, right? Because in Matthew, that was Matthew 3, it also details John's appearance, how his appearance was camel's hair. The way the verse listed these things, right? God ministered to me. If you go to that verse if you go to that verse in Matthew 3, I believe it's 3 and 4. It says there was a voice crying out, "Prepare the way for the Lord. Prepare the way for the Lord and make His path straight." And then it goes down to, it just jumps into detailing John's raiment was camel's hair, his food was honey, and there was a third one. But God was saying to me that He was running a strict program. It just kind of jotted them down like bullet points in that next verse. He was running a strict program, and that's how you have to insert yourself into that scenario as well. In the wilderness, in order to get moved to the promised land, you have to run a strict program. You know that that meme where they say, right, you gotta run a strict program or your life gonna turn out like a Tyler Perry movie or a play, right? Even more dramatic. It might turn out even more dramatic if you don't run a strict program. So it might be some things that you were used to, right, outside of your wilderness season. But in your wilderness season, it's gonna have to be something. It's gonna be some clothes that you can't buy, right? It's gonna be some, right? The food, the type of food, right, that you used to buy. It's gonna be some places that you used to frequent. It's gonna be some music that you used to listen to that you can't listen to anymore. It's gonna be some things. It's gonna be you're gonna have to run a strict program, and you're gonna have to prepare the way for the Lord. You're gonna have to be on a constant, firm, and steady path. And this is gonna allow you. This is gonna allow the Lord to move on your behalf by preparing the way. Prepare the way for the Lord by running that strict program and being obedient to whatever it is that He's calling you to do. No matter if it's big or small, be obedient to whatever it is, and this is going to allow you are preparing the way for the Lord in your life to move on your behalf by being obedient. God cannot move in disobedience. All right, so I love y'all. I hope that blessed y'all. I love y'all. Be blessed.